Day 161 of the Daily Stoic. Solve problems early. Quote, "There is no vice which lacks a defense. None that at the outset isn't modest and easily intervened, but after this whole trouble spreads widely. If you allow it to get started, you won't be able to control it when it stops. Every emotion is at first weak. Later it rouses itself and gathers strength as it moves along. It's easier to slow it down than to supplant it." Seneca, Moral Letters 116.2b-3a. Rivers. Publilius Sirius reminds us with an epigram. Quote, "Rivers are easiest to cross at their source." That's what Seneca means too. The raging waters and deadly currents of bad habits, ill discipline, chaos, and dysfunction. Somewhere they began as no more than just a slight trickle. Somewhere they were like a placid lake or pond, even a bubbling underground spring. Which would you rather do? Nearly drown in a dangerous crossing in a few weeks, or cross now while it's still easy? It's up to you. Man. The first thing that I thought about is in my younger years as a younger man when I was single, and I was a kind of like in the Korean church we call it like a chundasa. It's kind of essentially just kind of like a senior helper of sorts to the college age individuals. And I remember talking with these young bloods a lot, especially around, just living a life of purity, living a life of integrity, living a life of honor and hard work. And as a young man, obviously, you are inundated with massive amounts of opportunities to not be pure, to not be a man of integrity, to cut corners, to not be a man of your word, and to be less than, to be a base person, as the Stoics would say. And I was often asked multiple questions that essentially were always in the same category of question. And the category of question is essentially this: Peter, how far can I go to the edge? Right? Like, that's essentially what these guys were always asking. Like, how far can I go before it's a problem? It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't drink every day. That's a problem. Maybe you shouldn't, philander with women every day if you want to have a solid relationship. Like, maybe you shouldn't pick up smoking in college. Probably a bad idea, right? There's like, you want to experiment. You want to dabble in college. You, as a young man, you want to try these things. But the problem is these things become vices. These things hook you. They mess with you. And what the Stoics are telling us today is solve problems early. Don't even engage. Don't even engage. It's not worth your time. And of course, for us that are older, we've experienced this, and we have obviously the benefit of retrospection and the benefit of looking back and saying, yeah, that was probably not a wise decision. But at the same time, we know now, as we are wiser, that there are certain things in life that you got to trust your gut on these things, right? You've been down this road before. You know where this ends, and it's not positive, right? You've experienced these types of feelings before. You don't want to have the history repeat itself here. Solve problems early. If there's a problem, knock it out. Get it done. Get it out of the way so that you can be free to build and live as you want. See you in Discord, MetaFam.